Most gardeners spend an entire season digging up sweet potato beds and walk away with nothing but disappointment. But right now, there are backyard growers pulling 40, 50, even 60 pounds of sweet potatoes out of something most people toss in the trash every single week. Not a raised bed, not a garden plot, a trash bag. And by the end of this video, you are going to know exactly how to do the same thing, even if you have zero ground space, even if you failed with sweet potatoes before, and even if you've never grown a single root crop in your life. Stay with me, because the harvest reveal at the end of this video will shock you. Before we get into the steps, you need to understand why this method works, because it goes against everything most gardeners are taught. Conventional wisdom says sweet potatoes need deep, loose garden beds with perfectly amended soil. And while that's not wrong, it creates a problem most people don't realize. Traditional garden beds are packed with soil that settles over time, compresses around the roots, and limits how large those tubers can actually get. Sweet potatoes don't just need space to grow. They need freedom. They need soil that stays loose, drains fast, and allows roots to expand in every direction without hitting resistance. That's exactly what a trash bag gives them. A standard 30 to 45-gallon contractor trash bag, the thick black kind, creates a growing environment that most gardeners are unknowingly paying a fortune to recreate in raised beds. The black color absorbs heat, and sweet potatoes absolutely love warm soil. The loose, flexible walls never compact the way ground soil does. And when harvest time comes, you just flip the bag over or cut it open and everything falls out. No digging. No missing tubers hidden 3 feet underground. No broken roots left behind in compacted clay. But here's where it gets interesting. The bag itself is only part of the equation. What you put inside it, and how you manage that bag from day one, determines whether you pull out 10 pounds or 50. Before I walk you through each step, I want to know where you're watching from. Drop your country in the comments right now. I read every single one, and it helps me create content that's actually useful for your specific climate. Now let's get into step 1. Step 1. Preparing the trash bag container. The bag you choose matters more than most people think. And this is the first place where gardeners quietly sabotage their own harvest before they even plant a single slip. Standard thin kitchen trash bags will not work. The material is too thin, breaks down too fast in UV light, and can't hold the weight of dense soil and tubers without splitting at the seams. What you want is a 30 to 45-gallon contractor-grade trash bag, the thick black ones. These hold their structure for a full growing season, sometimes longer. Now here is the first technique that separates good harvests from great ones. Do not use the bag as a simple tube. Fold the top edge down about 6 inches before you fill it. This creates a reinforced collar around the top of the bag that keeps it upright, prevents the sides from collapsing, and gives you a stable structure that can handle watering, wind, and the weight of a fully loaded growing season. Set your bag on a hard surface, concrete, wood, or a pallet, rather than directly on bare ground. Here's why. If you place the bag directly on soil, roots will attempt to push through the drainage holes and anchor into the earth beneath. That sounds harmless, but it means tubers can escape the bag and grow outside of it, making harvest incomplete and messy. You also need drainage. Take a sharp object and punch 8 to 10 holes across the bottom of the bag before you fill it. Space them out. Sweet potatoes will rot fast in standing water, and contractor bags are not naturally porous. These holes are non-negotiable. One more thing. If you live in a hot climate, and I know a lot of you watching do, consider placing a piece of cardboard or a rubber mat under the bag. This prevents the bottom from getting scorched on hot concrete, which can cook the roots closest to the base and slow your overall yield. Now the bag is ready, but what goes inside it is where most people make their biggest mistake. Step 2. The soil mix that boosts sweet potato growth. This is the section most gardening videos completely skip over, and it's probably the single biggest reason backyard growers end up with a bag full of tiny, stunted tubers instead of the massive harvest they were expecting. Sweet potatoes do not like rich, heavily fertilized soil. That surprises most people. But here's the logic. When you give sweet potatoes a soil that's high in nitrogen, like a dense compost mix or traditional potting soil loaded with nutrients, the plant puts all of its energy into its vines and leaves. It grows lush and green and beautiful above the soil, and almost nothing happens below the surface. What you want is a mix that's deliberately lean on nitrogen, but rich in aeration and drainage. The ideal ratio is this: 50% coarse builder sand or perlite, 30% garden soil or a basic unfertilized topsoil, 20% aged compost, not fresh, aged. This combination creates a growing medium that drains almost instantly, never compacts, and gives those developing tubers zero resistance as they expand outward. But there's a second layer to this strategy that almost nobody talks about. About 2 weeks before you plant, mix a moderate amount of potassium into your soil. Potassium, not nitrogen, not phosphorus, is the mineral that drives root and tuber development in sweet potatoes. Wood ash is a cheap, accessible source. A handful of greens N works well too. A balanced, slow-release fertilizer with a high third number, like a 5-5-10 or 3-4-8, will also do the job. Fill your bag about 3/4 full with this mix. Not to the top. You'll understand why in the next step. And here's a detail that will make a significant difference in your final yield. Before you plant, soak the fill bag thoroughly, then let it drain completely for 24 hours. This settles the mix, eliminates air pockets, and pre-warms the soil so your slips aren't shocked by a sudden environmental shift when they go in the ground. The soil is ready. Now let's talk about the slips, because how you plant them changes everything. Step 3. Planting sweet potato slips properly. If you've ever planted a sweet potato slip and had it fail within the first 2 weeks, this section is going to explain exactly why. Sweet potato slips are fragile when they first go in. They look healthy, they feel healthy, but the root system at that stage is almost non-existent, which means the moment they hit dry or compacted soil, they stall completely, and a stalled slip in its first 2 weeks rarely recovers into a productive plant. The technique that changes this is called angled planting, and it's something commercial sweet potato farmers figured out decades ago that home gardeners almost never use. Instead of pushing the slip straight down into the soil vertically, you plant it at a 45-degree angle. You bury 2 to 3 leaf nodes beneath the surface, leaving only the top 2 or 3 leaves exposed above the soil line. Each buried node becomes a separate point where tubers can form. So instead of one central root growing down and producing a handful of potatoes, you get multiple tuber formation sites spread across a wider area of soil. This single change alone can double your yield in the same bag. Now your bag is 3/4 full. After planting, you're going to add soil around the base of your slips, but leave 2 to 3 inches of space at the top of the bag. This is your future top-up layer. In about 4 weeks, once the vines start reaching outward and the plant is well established, you'll fill that remaining space with more of your soil mix. This buries additional vine nodes and triggers another round of tuber formation higher up in the bag. More nodes buried, more tubers forming, bigger harvest. Plant 1 to 2 slips per 30-gallon bag. I know it's tempting to crowd them, but sweet potatoes are aggressive spreaders. 2 slips in a single bag will compete for space, water, and nutrients, and both plants will underperform. 1 slip per bag for the best results. Water your freshly planted slips lightly the first 2 days. You're not trying to saturate the soil. You're coaxing the roots to reach outward in search of moisture. This early stretch builds the root architecture that later supports your massive harvest. But here's what most gardeners don't realize about watering through the rest of the season. It's not what you think. Step 4. Watering and sunlight strategy. Let's talk about watering first, because overwatering sweet potatoes in a trash bag is one of the fastest ways to destroy a harvest you've spent months building. Sweet potatoes are drought-tolerant root crops. They evolved in conditions where water wasn't always reliable. When you water them heavily and frequently, the plant has no reason to send roots deep and wide in search of moisture. The roots stay shallow and compact. The tubers stay small. The correct strategy is deep, infrequent watering with a deliberate dry-down period between each session. Water your bag thoroughly until water runs freely from the drainage holes. Then wait. Wait until the top 2 inches of soil are completely dry before watering again. In hot climates, this might be every 4 to 5 days. In cooler or humid regions, it could be 7 to 10 days. This cycle of wet and dry forces the roots to expand aggressively, which is exactly the behavior that produces large, well-formed tubers. Here is one more watering detail that makes a dramatic difference. During the final 4 to 6 weeks before harvest, reduce your watering frequency by half. The plant is now in its final tuber swelling phase. Too much moisture at this stage causes the skin of the tubers to crack as they expand rapidly, which ruins both the appearance and the shelf life of your harvest. Now let's talk about sunlight because sweet potatoes have a specific requirement most people underestimate. Sweet potatoes need a minimum of 6 hours of direct sunlight per day. 8 is better. 10 is ideal. This is not negotiable if you want large tubers. The vine leaves are the solar panels that power everything happening underground, and the more light they capture, the more energy the plant can redirect into tuber development. Here's where the trash bag method gives you a massive advantage over traditional beds. You can move the bag. If your morning spot gets shaded by a tree in the afternoon, you can shift the bag. If a late-season cold front is coming through, you can move it closer to a wall that absorbs and radiates heat. Fist garden beds give you zero flexibility. Trash bags give you total control. One rule: once the vines start spreading aggressively, and they will, do not move the bag. By that point, the root system is fully established and the plant is in active tuber development. Disrupting it will set back your harvest by weeks. Speaking of vines, how you manage them will determine whether you finish the season with a good harvest or a truly extraordinary one. Step 5. Managing vine growth for bigger tubers. By weeks 4 to 6, your sweet potato plant is going to look like it's trying to take over your entire yard. The vines will spread 2, 3, sometimes 4 feet in every direction. This is normal. This is actually a great sign. But this is also where most gardeners make a critical mistake that quietly steals pounds from their final harvest. When sweet potato vines touch the ground, and they will, they naturally try to root at every node that makes contact with soil. This seems like a bonus. More roots, right? More tubers? Not exactly. Those secondary rooting points pull energy and nutrients away from the main plant inside the bag. The tubers that form at those ground contact points are small, scattered, and impossible to fully harvest. Meanwhile, the primary tubers inside your bag, the ones you've been carefully nurturing, receive less of the plant's total energy because it's being divided in too many directions. The solution is simple but requires consistency. Every 5 to 7 days, lift the vines that are trailing on the ground and redirect them upward or outward, preventing them from re-rooting. You are not cutting them off. You are simply interrupting the rooting process by keeping the nodes off the soil surface. Some growers go one step further and train their vines vertically up a simple stake or trellis. This keeps all the energy inside the bag and, as a bonus, gives you more floor space if you're growing in a small area. Here's the second part of vine management that most tutorials never mention. Around week 8 or 9, if your plant is producing an enormous amount of vine growth with dense, lush foliage, you can pinch back the tips of the longest vines. This signals the plant to redirect its energy downward, into the tubers rather than continuing to extend outward. Do not do this too early. The vine and leaf system needs to reach full size before you start redirecting energy. Think of it as a pipeline. You want the pipeline fully built before you change where the flow is going. You're now deep into the season. The vines have been managed. The soil is cycling through its wet-dry rhythm. The tubers are quietly swelling underground. And now you need to know exactly when to harvest, because pulling too early or waiting too long both cost you yield. Step 6. Signs your sweet potatoes are ready to harvest. This is one of the most misunderstood parts of growing sweet potatoes, and getting the timing wrong is heartbreaking after a full season of careful work. Most resources will tell you to harvest after 90 to 120 days. That's a starting point, not a rule. The actual readiness of your sweet potatoes depends on a combination of timing, visual signals, and soil conditions. And once you learn to read these signs, your harvest will become consistently larger every season. The first signal to watch for is vine yellowing. When the leaves and vines begin to turn yellow and the plant starts to look like it's naturally declining, the tubers have entered their final swelling phase and harvest is close. This typically happens between days 100 and 120 for most varieties. The second signal is vine dieback near the base of the plant. When the vines closest to the soil line start to dry out and pull back, the plant is telling you it has completed its growth cycle. It's transferring its final remaining energy into the tubers before shutting down completely. The third signal, and the most reliable, is soil surface lifting. In the trash bag, if you look at the soil around the base of the vines and see the surface slightly raised or cracked, tubers are pressing upward against the soil. This is a visual confirmation that tubers have reached their maximum size. Here's a critical rule. Never harvest immediately after a watering. Wait 3 to 5 days after your last watering before you harvest. Dry soil releases tubers cleanly, without tearing the skin or breaking the delicate root connections that attach smaller tubers to the main root system. Wet soil causes tubers to slip off their roots and tear, and damaged sweet potatoes don't store well. One more thing before we get to the harvest itself. About 10 days before you plan to harvest, cut all the vines back to about 6 inches above the soil. This triggers one final rush of energy from the leaves and vines down into the tubers, giving them a last push of growth before you pull them. Everything has been building to this moment. Step 7. Harvesting the bag and revealing the yield. Harvest day with a trash bag is one of the most satisfying moments in container gardening, period. Imagine this. You spent 90 to 120 days tending to this bag. You've managed the vines, dialed in the watering cycle, watched the leaves shift from deep green to golden yellow, and now you're standing in front of a simple black trash bag that most people would have thrown away without a second thought. You cut the side of the bag open or tip the whole thing over and the soil just falls away. And there they are, sweet potatoes the size of your forearm, deep orange, clean-skinned, perfectly formed. Some clustered together in a dense group, others scattered through the soil like buried treasure. You start pulling them out and laying them on the ground, and the pile just keeps growing. That is not an exaggeration. That is what this method produces when you follow the steps correctly. For the actual harvest process, lay a tarp or a piece of cardboard next to your bag. Cut the bag fully up one side and tip the contents onto the tarp. Use your hands to gently break apart the soil and locate every tuber. Look carefully. Small secondary tubers can be buried in dense pockets of soil and it's easy to miss them. Sort your harvest immediately. Large tubers, medium tubers, small tubers. Any tubers with broken skin or soft spots should be set aside for immediate use. Do not store damaged sweet potatoes. They will spoil quickly and can accelerate spoilage in tubers stored nearby. After harvest, sweet potatoes need to be cured before storage. Place them in a warm location, around 80 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, with high humidity for 7 to 10 days. A closed, warm garage works well. During curing, the skin thickens and the internal starches begin converting to sugars, which is why cured sweet potatoes taste dramatically sweeter and store significantly longer than fresh harvested ones. Cured properly, your trash bag harvest will keep for 6 months or more, and that bag? Rinse it out, fold it up and save it for next season. One bag, one growing season, 50 pounds of food. That's the math that makes this method so powerful. Think about what you just learned. No garden bed, no expensive raised planter, no tractor, no tiller, no complicated irrigation system. One contractor trash bag, a carefully mixed soil, a single sweet potato slip planted at the right angle, and a season of smart management that takes maybe 10 minutes of attention per week. That's all it takes to pull 40 to 50 pounds of one of the most nutritious, calorie-dense, long-storing foods you can grow right in your backyard, on your patio, on your balcony, or anywhere you can set a bag in the sun. The people who fail with this method almost always make the same mistakes. They use the wrong soil and over-fertilize with nitrogen. They plant their slips straight down instead of at an angle. They overwater and keep the soil constantly wet. They let the vines root on the ground and split the plant's energy, and they harvest too early before the tubers have reached their full potential. You now know how to avoid every single one of those mistakes. The trash bag sweet potato method is not a gardening hack or a shortcut. It is a genuinely efficient, productive, and space-saving approach to growing one of the most valuable food crops you can put in the ground. Whether you're growing for your family, building toward greater food independence, or just looking to maximize the productivity of a small growing space, this method delivers. Try one bag this season, just one. Follow the steps in this video exactly. And when harvest day comes and you tip that bag over and watch the potatoes tumble out, you'll understand why growers who discover this method never go back to traditional beds. If this video helped you, hit subscribe and leave a comment below. And again, tell me where you're watching from. I want to know where in the world backyard growers are putting this method to work. Keep growing. The backyard yield is always worth it.